Reflections. Parasitic Self-Fulfillment. Excerpts from Christian Moral Theology in Emerging Technoculture. From Posthuman Back to Human by Brent Waters.
I think technology in general has been worked into everyone's day-to-day life.
It is the first thing I do when I wake up and when I go to bed.
It's easy to just pick up your phone, turn it on.
Call a ride and just go wherever you want.
New places to eat, new places to explore.
It's great to stay in touch.
I met my girlfriend on online dating apps, so I'd say that's a positive right there.
Do you feel like you're in control of technology or is technology in control of you?
Oof.
The late modern nomads traversing the emerging technoculture imagine that they are the avant-garde of the revolutionary way of living. Never before have so many people enjoyed such mobility, had so much information at their fingertips, or been able to converse with so vast an array of fellow wanderers virtually any time and anywhere. In taking the first steps toward conquering the constraints of time and distance, endless possibilities begin to open for how individuals may go about inventing and reinventing themselves. With unprecedented technological power at their disposal, late modern nomads are constantly constructing and reconstructing the physical and virtual spaces in which they effortlessly appear and reappear, and in doing so are redefining how human life and lives can and should be lived. The old phrase, ends of the earth, is a poor metaphor to describe the extent to which humans can indulge their imaginations in creating their realities and also refashioning themselves in the process. For some of the more exuberant prognosticators, the emerging technoculture is the first step toward finally realizing Teilhard de Chardin's dream of the noosphere and its ultra-humanity.
The noosphere, a term coined by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, refers to a global consciousness emerging from the interaction of human minds. This interconnected layer of thought represents a new evolutionary stage, one where the boundaries between individual minds begin to blur.
This belief is, of course, nonsense. Far from being revolutionaries, late modern nomads are compliant conformists to a culture that precedes them by more than a few generations. Rather than being on the forefront of a new way of being human, they are riding the crest of innovation that has been gaining momentum for quite some time. This is especially the case with the vaunted technologies that are purportedly ushering in a new age of overcoming the limits of time and place. If a revolution may be said to have occurred, it took place with the steady stream of inventions in the 19th and early 20th centuries. The introduction of the train, automobile, and airplane, coupled with the telegraph, telephone, and motion pictures, were the revolutionary means of greatly reducing the constraints of time and place to an unprecedented extent. The principal difference is the ubiquity, availability, and refinement of preceding technological developments, stemming primarily from three innovations: wireless transmission, digitization, and miniaturization. The ability to transmit data through the airwaves led to the introduction of radio, television, and the mobile phone. The digitalization of data, when coupled with miniaturized electronic components, prompted the manufacture of smaller and portable devices for creating, storing, and transmitting information. The creation of supportive infrastructures prompted burgeoning mass markets for these devices, making them increasingly affordable and readily available. This informational mobility, in turn, reinforces and spurs greater physical mobility, for people can now travel extensively or relocate and still remain in touch with colleagues, friends, and family. The current innovation underway entails integrating once discrete technologies into a single and easily portable device. The so-called smartphone exemplifies this trend, for telephony is merely one among many functions that it performs. Although it is an impressive and useful gadget, even the smartest phone contains nothing new, but comprises refinements of initial ideas that prompted prior technological development. Text, messages, emails, and tweets are not appreciably different from a telegram. The video, photo, and music galleries bear striking resemblances to television, scrapbooks, and phonographs. The Internet provides a quick and easy means to undertake activities that used to require such time-consuming tasks as pursuing catalogs, scouring libraries, writing and mailing checks, or having a face-to-face conversation. The digital camera can trace a lineage back to the Polaroid, and the GPS is an improved triptych. There is nothing novel about the smartphone. It merely provides quick and portable access to an array of technologies that current and previous generations have grown accustomed to. Arguably, a Victorian visiting present-day London would suffer far less future shock than an 18th century Londoner visiting Victorian London. Consequently, the nomadic life of late modernity is not a unique phenomenon, but the latest chapter of an unfolding cultural saga. Most importantly, technology is becoming the principal means of forming, expressing, and sustaining the identities of late modern nomads. With the aid of various gadgets, individuals organize their daily schedules, conduct their business, stay in contact, monitor news, events, and people, network with colleagues, friends, and family, post photos and personal information, and blog their opinions, rants, and raves. The accumulative effect of these mundane activities is the formation and expression of who one is and aspiring to become. The growing dependence on, one might be even tempted to say symbiosis with, these technologies is captured in the ensuing anxiety when individuals are deprived of their gadgets. Without the requisite technologies, late modern nomads lose the ability to easily open and close spaces that enable them to overcome the limits of time and place. Yet the sense of identity, one might even say self-fulfillment, coming from purportedly exerting greater control over time and place, is not only fluid but also fragile. Ironically, the autonomy and mobility prized by late modern nomads are growing increasingly dependent on others. I cannot, for instance, schedule meetings, conduct my business, stay in contact, monitor, network, or blog if there is no one with whom to interact. These interactions, however, grow increasingly episodic, temporary, and impermanent. And in executing these exchanges, late modern nomads must necessarily consume each other in constructing and expressing their respective identities. This necessity poses some troubling concerns. Do the transient spaces, real, virtual, and hyper, comprising the emerging technoculture, enable the construction of true identities? Or do they also help produce simulacra that deceive and mislead? Do my exploits in a simulation make me a great baseball player? The spaces that are opened and centered must also be filtered, monitored, and tended if they are to fulfill the goals and desires of their users. Something, however minimal, must be known about those sharing a space, however temporary. Consequently, since spatial exchanges entail quick and partial expressions of identities that can reveal, conceal, or mislead, there is an accompanying need for scrutiny, suspicion, and surveillance, promoting a fundamental and mutual distrust. Is the person with whom I am exchanging an email really the woman she claims to be? Focusing attention on these spaces also requires inattentiveness to place and those accompanying it. Most of the individuals with whom one comes into physical contact are often regarded as impediments or distractions that divert time and attention from the important spaces that are frequently distant or virtual. If I am talking on the phone, I cannot be attentive to those around me. To raise these concerns, however, is to anticipate, and before examining them in greater detail, some praise should be offered for the emerging technoculture and its nomadic life. The technologies enabling greater mobility should not be taken for granted, much less despised. Easing the constraints of time and place has improved the lives of many individuals. The liberation of individuals from parochialisms, often stemming from being sequestered in a particular locale, both physically and imaginatively, is to be welcomed. The ability to quickly and instantaneously exchange information globally has improved the material well-being of millions of people by creating employment opportunities and greater purchasing power. Christians especially, restless pilgrims that they are, share to a certain extent the preference of space over place, for their faith is practiced wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, and is not restricted to any hallowed ground.
Open door.
Door open.
Sånn, så skal vi sette en til.
Ja. Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Repeat that.
Open door.
I didn't understand that.
Hey, open door.
Play on the floor.
Despite the frequent complaints about the frantic pace, shallowness, and banality of the nomadic life, there are no serious proposals for banning the technologies that make it possible, nor should there be. Nevertheless, nomadic mobility comes at a price. Not all is well in the emerging technoculture, as its critics make clear.
This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission.
The remedy, however, is not refusal, which for all practical purposes would offer little more than nostalgic escape. This is especially the case for Christians, for refusing the emerging technoculture would also be to refuse God's creation, a refusal to understand and serve the thing as it is. The challenge is one of reorientation, of reorienting the trajectory of the emerging technoculture away from its historicist and nihilistic illusions and toward a good telos, or end, or, more poignantly, of reforming the nomadic life to one of pilgrimage.
Oh, it's definitely more control over me.
My biggest issue with it is knowing when to stop. 5 and 10 minutes here and there, I feel like takes up a bunch of my day.
I feel like it's in control of me, like if my phone's dead for like half the day or something and I'm going crazy.
My math grade is the way it is because of my phone.
Now I notice my eyes are like a little, like I blink a little bit more, they get tired.
Yeah. Throw his phone away.
Usually I feel in control of technology. Usually
I can catch myself and be like, you need to chill out.
I think you have to set a limit and say that you control the phone, it doesn't control you.
I'd say most people hate on technology, but if you're using it for good things, I think it's really helpful.
Well, we think it's important that they do have access to it and learn it.
Technology is not so much it's a necessary evil, it's a necessary good that could go either way. So the jury's out. It's up to us as to what we do with the technology.